Hey everybody, in this video we are talking about the battery. Not this battery, no. Get rid of it. We are talking about drums, percussion on the marching band field. They're going to be walking around with these instruments strapped to their harnesses, and we're going to be doing lots of cool work. We're going to break out one of each, a snare, a tenor, and a bass. We're going to talk about each one, figure out the details. I'm really looking forward to this video.
I am too.
Nice.
Super fun percussion stuff in the battery.
So let's just talk about some details about the whole battery.
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked about the harnesses.
Mm-hmm.
Most harnesses are over the shoulders and they come down either in front. Some of the newer ones have little things in the back. We'll show you some examples. And then they connect either by their chest or down by their waist.
When you're not marching around with the harness, we have stands that we put them on. So we don't have to just carry, there's one right there. We can just put it on the ground, put it on the stand, makes it so we don't have to carry around this big, huge drum. A lot of times these drums are, 20, 30, 40 pounds, and we just want to put them down sometimes.
They are deceptively heavy, especially when you're on the move.
Yeah, oh yeah.
When we aren't using our drums, we put them in cases. It's always important to take care of your equipment, and having a case ready and available is the best way for you to take care of your instrument long term.
Okay, so we play these instruments with sticks. These sticks usually look like this and not like that. These are marching sticks. They're a little bit different. They're a little bit bigger than these concert sticks. You also notice that we tape the sticks up in marching band too, whereas we usually don't with concert band or drum set sticks. This is the marching snare drum. As you can see, like a normal snare drum, it has our top head made of Kevlar and a bottom head made of Mylar. And also here on the bottom you can see the snares made of plastic or gut. If we compare this marching snare drum to Nick's beautiful Majestic concert snare drum, we see that it looks a little bit different. Marching snare drum is a little bit deeper. It's going to be a little bit louder than your traditional concert snare drum. So with this drum, we can either play it match grip like you would a normal concert snare drum, right? But you also see a lot of groups, especially drum corps in colleges, play with a traditional grip. Way back in the day, back even before I started doing marching percussion, you would carry these drums on slings. They just had a sling that you would strap over your body, and when it would do that, the drum would be slanted. So instead of having to play the drum like this, drummers invented this traditional grip, which made it easier to play slanted. And some groups, even though most of the time the drums are flat, some groups still play like this today.
These are the tenors. They are called tenors because, like soprano, tenor, alto, bass, they're towards the middle range of the different sounds that we can have in the battery. We have 4 drums, so we often call them the quads. We also have some have a 5th drum in the middle, our Spock drum, and then these actually have 2 Spocks. So we have 6 drums. The sound is not from low to high, left to right. It's actually a little different. We've got lowest here, and then it goes from outside in to the middle. So we got low. The tenors have one head on the top of each drum, and there's nothing underneath. It's an empty cave. And this just helps the sound bounce out. It creates a different tone, different timbre compared to the snare drum. The heads are made of Mylar, or at least these ones are. Mylar is a type of film, a polyester film, a hard plastic that can be stretched really tight. And if you've ever cracked a head, you'll notice that one layer might split and then another layer is down. That's because it's 2 plies. You have 2 layers, and that's to help keep the strength of those drum heads lasting a long time. Where you play on the drums, you have unique playing zones on these things because of where they are. They're not centered on your body like a snare drum, and your sticks are going to rotate a little bit depending on which direction you're playing at. When you're playing on the outside drums, you have the outside hand jutted a little bit forward. And as you play towards the middle, you're going to try to keep a centered playing zone on all of these drums. So we're not playing in the middle of each of these drums. That's way too far of a reach for us. So we have a unique playing zone on these things. These things are heavy, and it's because they are so much further out in front. when we look at the length and the width of these things, is so much wider and longer than a snare drum. So the weight is gonna feel like it's way far out. This is gonna make our tenor players need to build up their core muscles. You're gonna have to do a ton of workouts to beef yourselves up and make sure that you can carry these things for your parades, your 10-minute marching band shows, your walks to the stadiums. You're gonna have to build that strength way up. So way back, like Will was talking about with the sling drums for the snares, the toms would not have snares. Okay, so you started with just a single drum, and as technology developed, we were able to attach more drums to create different sounds. So you started with one drum, the tom, then they built it up to I think 2. I know definitely there was the tri-tom, you had 3, 1, 2, 3. And then 4 was built, and then they were able to eventually get these 5th and 6th ones. Who knows what they're gonna do in the future? These things could get crazy big.
Okay, so this is a marching bass drum. Again, you can see it looks a little bit different than the bass drums you may be used to in concert band. This is one size of the marching bass drum. It's a little bit smaller. There are actually 5, 6 different sizes of marching bass drums. A lot of high school lines likes to use 4 or 5 of them. Everybody in marching bass drum plays one drum. So I would play this one, Nick would play the one behind me, somebody else would play the one behind them, and so on and so forth. So to play this, since there are so many people playing so many different drums, there's a lot of teamwork involved into playing this. Usually you only play 1 or 2 notes per measure, but with everybody else playing, you get a whole melody or a whole rhythm happening. These are tuned tonally, so you can hear this one has a little bit of a tone to it. Obviously, the bigger you get, the deeper that tone is going to be, and that's why we can get all of these different split parts. The heads of the marching bass drums, a little bit like the tenors, they are made of mylar, they are 2-ply. They're usually coated white or black like this with some logos on it, and usually play right in the middle. When you take a bass drum mallet, this is just a normal snare drum stick, but if you take a bass drum mallet, you would hold it right there and you'd play like that. As you can see, the drum is played vertically like this, so we don't tip it up like that and play it flat like all the other drums. They're played vertically. And they're a little bit big, a little bit like the tenors. You know, these can be a little bit heavy in size, not because the drums themselves are so heavy. Most of this is just air inside here, but it's because they can stick out so far in front of us. So our center of gravity is a little bit farther out, which means it's going to feel a lot heavier. So just like the quads, these marching bass drums can get pretty heavy at times. And unfortunately, unlike the other instruments, you can't fold these up to make it easier. They just stay like this the whole time you've got them on. But eventually you build those back muscles up, you build those core muscles up, and it's not a big deal.
Some things we don't have. We do not have marching cymbals with us today. Some battery lines include cymbals that you can play up or down. A lot of times in your parades, you'll have the pit, the front ensemble people, they will march the cymbals. Sometimes in actually a couple of DCIs, DCI cores, they have their own marching cymbal lines. I think, who is it? Santa Clara?
Santa Clara usually does.
Usually has their cymbals. Great guys to check out if you're not sure what that's like.
We also, if you look at some of the old school videos of Drumline, you may also notice lots of other instruments. They used to march like xylophones and glockenspiels and even marching timpani and things like that. You rarely see those today, but you may occasionally see them in some older videos.
Thank you guys for watching. I would love to know what your favorite battery instrument is. What do you want to play, or maybe what do you play? If you want to help support our channel and help grow what we've got going on here at Virtual Percussion Camp, check us out on Patreon, where you can support us. Please share and subscribe to this video with your friends, and please come back again. If you like what we're doing here at Virtual Percussion Camp, like, subscribe, and hit the bell.
Tap out. Generally not played with the hands or with, you know, the feet or whatever else. No elbow shots or anything like that.
Bleh.
No, it'd be fun though. We'll write that into next year's show. Do some innovative. Yeah, it's gonna happen. We'll make it work. We're gonna make it work.
Let's try that one again. Okay.